US President Donald Trump signalled to Ukraine's president on Friday that he was leaning against selling him the long-range Tomahawk missile system Ukraine said it has desperately needed. Trump met President Volodymyr Zelensky at the White House on Friday, his fourth visit since Trump returned to office. The meeting comes a day after the US leader held a call with Russian President Vladimir Putin. Also on the programme, the government has unveiled a new national plan to train and recruit more than 400,000 workers over 5 years for the clean energy sector. The Clean Energy Jobs Plan, published on Sunday, is aimed at training up the next generation of clean energy workers and doubling the existing workforce. And a decision to ban Maccabi Tel Aviv fans from attending next month's match in Birmingham will not be reviewed unless police change their risk assessment, the city's council has said. The Tel Aviv club are due to play Aston Villa on November 6th, but travelling supporters have been banned from attending by the safety advisory group responsible for issuing safety certificates for matches at Villa Park.
This is STV News with Lucrezia Millarini.
Good evening. US President Donald Trump has signalled to Ukraine's president on Friday that he was leaning against sending him the long-range Tomahawk missile system Ukraine has said it desperately needs. Trump met President Volodymyr Zelensky at the White House on Friday, his fourth visit since Trump returned to office. The meeting comes a day after the US leader held a call with Russian President Vladimir Putin. At the start of the talk, Zelensky congratulating Trump over handling last week's ceasefire and hostage deal in Gaza, and said Trump has now momentum to stop the Russia-Ukraine conflict. If Ukraine's President Zelensky was hoping he might come away from his latest White House meeting with President Trump with the promise of long-range Tomahawk cruise missiles, then he was disappointed, as our STV News correspondent Robert Moore reports.
After 6 meetings this year alone, the two presidents are increasingly familiar with each other.
Do you believe you can convince Vladimir Putin to end the war in Ukraine?
But each time the stakes seem to get higher.
Do you believe Putin is negotiating in good faith, sir?
President Zelensky of Ukraine has...
The Ukrainian leader was at the White House this time with a very specific shopping list.
We're going to get it ended.
Hoping to get Trump's approval for the supply of Tomahawk cruise missiles. And he even suggested an arms trade.
The United States has Tomahawks and other missiles, very strong missiles, but they can have our thousands of drones. That's why where we can work together.
The look on the faces of the Ukrainians told the story of their dismay, as Trump suggested instead that he expected a peace deal to preempt any such arms deal.
Hopefully we'll be able to get the war over with without thinking about Tomahawks.
The supply of cruise missiles has the potential to tilt the battlefield in Ukraine's favor, putting Moscow itself well within range.
These two leaders do not like each other.
Trump went on to suggest that Zelensky might also turn up at the Budapest summit, even if he refused to be in the same room as Putin.
It's the president, and the president. Okay, 3 presidents. And I'm the mediator president. And I'm mediating not an easy situation. It should be easy, but it's a lot easier when people understand each other, when they get together, and when they like each other. We don't necessarily have that situation as far as like is concerned. Maybe it can turn around, maybe it can. But in the meantime, we'll have them keep a little bit of distance, and we're going to see if we can get it done.
As I said previously, so we are ready to speak in any kind of format, bilateral, trilateral, doesn't matter, just peace.
Trump then addressed the question of whether Putin agreeing to a Budapest meeting was just a maneuver, buying the Russians time.
I've been played all my life by the best of them, and I came out really well.
But such optimism appears in short supply on the battlefield, where fierce clashes dominated by drone warfare and by artillery barrages continue without pause. Nor is it clear what has changed since the Alaska summit just 63 days ago. There is no indication, in public at least, the Kremlin has decided to abandon its original war aims.
President Zelensky!
Zelensky left the White House with receding hopes of receiving those cruise missiles.
How was the meeting?
While Trump headed out for Florida, feeling that his success in brokering a ceasefire in the Middle East has validated his distinctive and deeply personal style of diplomacy. Robert Moore, News at 10, Washington.
The government has unveiled a new national plan to train and recruit more than 400,000 workers over 5 years for the clean energy sector. The Clean Energy Jobs Plan, published on Sunday, is aimed at training up the next generation of clean energy workers and doubling the existing workers. Ministers have identified 31 priority occupations that are particularly in demand, including plumbers, electricians and welders. It also includes plans for 5 technical excellent colleges aimed at training the next generation of green energy workers, while also fulfilling the government's drive for 2/3 of young people to be in higher level learning. Existing workers will also be provided with training to transfer their skills over to the sector under new plans. Up to £20 million will be also allotted to upskill existing oil and gas workers into the clean energy sector, and the Energy Skills Passport, which identifies routes for oil and gas workers to transition into offshore wind, will be extended to new sectors including nuclear and the electricity grid. Energy Secretary Ed Miliband said communities have long been calling out for a new generation of good industrial jobs. The clean energy jobs boom can answer that call. Our plans will help create an economy in which there is no need to leave your hometown just to find a decent job. Thanks to this government's commitment to clean energy, a generation of young people in our industrial heartlands can have well-paid secure jobs, from plumbers to electricians and welders. Under the government plan, Scotland could see an increase of up to 40,000 jobs by 2030. Wales could see up to 15,000 and Northern Ireland 2,500. The north of England could see up to 60,000 jobs generated in over 5 years. In the plan, the government will set out how trade unions will be a key part of its jobs drive by recognising their role in securing high pay and good conditions for workers. These include a new Fair Work Charter between offshore wind developers and trade unions to ensure firms benefiting from public funding provide good wages and strong workplace rights. Ministers said they will also look to close loopholes in legislation to extend employment projections enjoyed by offshore oil and gas workers working beyond UK territorial seas, including the national minimum wage, to clean the energy sector. Work and Pensions Secretary Pat McFadden said, we're giving workers skills needed to switch to clean energy, which is good for them, good for industry, and will drive growth across the nation. Our new jobs plan will unlock real opportunities and ensure everyone has access to the training and support to secure the well-paid jobs that will power our country's future. The new plan is part of the government's wider efforts to boost economic growth and decarbonise the UK's electricity grid by the end of the decade. Ministers said their decision to greenlight Sizewell C nuclear power station in Suffolk will support 10,000 jobs at peak construction, while it announced Rolls-Royce as the preferred bidder for the small modular reactor programme to support up to 3,000 jobs. Elsewhere, the Acorn Viking carbon capture, the storage projects in development in Scotland and the North East will support a combined 35,000, and the government estimates. Christina McKenna, General Secretary of Unison, said that this plan can help create UK workforce with highly skilled, fairly paid and secure jobs. Extra investment for retraining will mean experienced staff already employed in the sector are able to take on new roles. and additional funding for apprenticeships and opportunities for young people are crucial too in the UK, is to have a bright and clean energy future. So, Sue Ferns, Prospect Senior Deputy General Secretary, said, "If this mission is to be a success, the support for wider industrial strategy and growth agendas, then we urgently need a step change in level of workforce development. In this context, it is welcomed that this jobs plan now exists and the new initiatives are a welcome step in the right direction. However, the scale of the challenge of training new workers and supporting existing workers, including those looking to transition from other roles, requires both more resource and coordinated effort across the government." And finally, a decision to ban Maccabi Tel Aviv fans from attending next month's match in Birmingham will not be reviewed unless police change their risk assessment, the city's council has said. The Tel Aviv club are due to play Aston Villa on November 6th, but travelling supporters have been banned from attending by Safety Advisory Group, SAG, responsible for issuing safety certificates for matches at Villa Park. The British Israel former hostage, Emily Damari, says she is shocked to the core by the decision to ban Maccabi Tel Aviv fans from their matches with Aston Villa next month. STV News correspondent Sejal Karia and political correspondent Carl Dinnan report.
A game meant to unite is tonight causing division, a divide going far beyond sport. Maccabi Tel Aviv fans have been banned from next month's Europa League clash here at Aston Villa over fears of trouble. The Prime Minister said to be angered, condemning the move, calling it the wrong decision.
I don't think anyone thinks the decision was made in an anti-Semitic way or because of anti-Semitism. The outcome happens to be anti-Semitic, and that Jews from England who may have wanted to cheer on Maccabi Tel Aviv or show some pride in Tel Aviv or in Israel are unable to attend a football match, and they are the only group of people unable to attend a football match. So in that case, yes, it is discriminatory.
Police have labelled the fixture high risk after violent clashes between Ajax and Maccabi fans in Amsterdam last year. All of it playing out against a backdrop of rising anti-Semitic and Islamophobic attacks across Europe, fuelled by the conflict in the Middle East. Here, in the shadow of Villa Park, many told me they feared the match could inflame tensions and that banning fans was the right call. This local independent MP says he backs the ban too, on moral grounds.
This has got nothing to do with race or religion. It's got everything to do with Maccabi fans which have displayed violence in Amsterdam.
This ban has caused outrage today across Britain, not least with the Prime Minister, who says this is anti-Semitism.
I think the Prime Minister's comment is disgraceful. To label West Midlands Police and the Safety Advisory Group as anti-Semitic for a decision they've made based on intelligence.
West Midlands Police says the ban mitigates risks to public safety, but MPs from across the political spectrum are demanding answers over why it can't safely manage the match. As it emerged, the Home Office was briefed last week about the risks and a possible ban. Freed hostage and Maccabi fan Emily Damari has called the decision outrageous. And tonight, the ban remains, as do the divisions.
Well, Downing Street says that discussions are happening at pace to try and overturn the ban, and that no one should be stopped from watching a football match because of who they are. But people who live here in the local community told me they believe that a ban is the right decision. One man said, with the Prime Minister inviting the Maccabi fans here, he wants chaos.
All right, Sejal, at Villa Park there, thank you. Let's talk now to our political correspondent, Carl Dinnan, who's in Westminster tonight. Carl, we've heard from the Home Office in the past hour. What's it said?
Yeah, that's right. We've now got a clear sense of how the government is trying to fix this problem with that statement that came just under an hour ago from the Home Office saying the government is working with policing and other partners to do everything in our power to ensure this game can safely go ahead with all fans present. And the next bit I think is the important bit. We are exploring what additional resources and support are required so all fans can attend. Now, we understand that what that means is that the government has gone to West Midlands Police and said, tell us what you need in terms of resources to allow this to go ahead safely with all fans. They put it back in the police's court, in other words. The government then hope that they will be able to supply the resources that will allow the police to then recommend to the safety advisory group who made this decision in the first place that the game can go ahead. That safety advisory group is due to meet again early next week. All this is completely remarkable, I have to say, because normally the idea that the police are operationally independent is sacrosanct around here, and the police haven't taken this interference terribly well. Listen to this from the UK Football Policing Unit a little earlier today. They said it is important that we respect and support the structures in place for making these decisions. If the government want a role in regulating football events that could be termed events of national significance, then they need to bring forward legislation to formalise this. Now, clearly, that is not what the government wants to try and do in this case. That's not where they are this evening, and I understand that they hope that the extra resources they want to provide will allow this match to go ahead with the police making the final operational decision.
And there you go. That is all of it. I'll repeat that again. That is all we have time for here on the Weekend Late Team. National bulletins are back to normal tomorrow. From me, though, and all of the team, thank you very much indeed for watching. Bye-bye.